Thanks for joining us at Right On Replicas, where we're proud to bring you the best scale model kit reviews on the planet. This review covers the Leopard 1 tank. It's a 135 scale Italeri kit, number 37507, from their World of Tanks rollout series of models. It's a skill level 3 kit for advanced modelers, and there's over 100 pieces, molded in olive drab with black vinyl tracks and water slide decals. The instructions are very well laid out, and when you're done, the dimensions are about 11 inches long, 3 3/4 inches wide, and 4 3/4 inches high. Now the Leopard 1 was a fast design, and it worked its way into many militaries, but it sacrificed armor protection for speed and a heavy gun. Now, since it was developed at the height of the Cold War, it has full NBC, that's nuclear, biological, and chemical protection, so that it could fight even after a nuclear exchange. Over 6,000 were made, and it was an excellent weapon of choice in the European theater. Here's the layout of this kit, and it's my version of the open box review. Some people would pick up every sprue and try and describe the parts to you, but that won't help you build the kit. So we're going to show you how to do that step by step. Now we'll be using liquid cement for most of construction, sometimes super glue for strength on fragile parts, and also we'll be paying attention to the manufacturer's safety and use guidelines for any of the products that you see here in the review. Construction begins with the bottom hull and 2 of the rails here that are placed inside the interior there. Gather up these spindles and posts, and they'll be installed in the appropriate locations on the left side from front to rear. So continuing on the left side, I'm going to use the part numbers here because the vernacular is unfamiliar with most people. So we're going to take part 10A, and that gets slid into the first hole between 4A and 5A on part 3C, and then glued to 2A. And then that part 9A has one end that's slid into the first 8A, and then you continue the process and repeat these for the rest of the parts here. Now when you're finished, you'll have most of the spindles and posts installed on the left side. You'll need to keep the part numbers straight for correct positioning, but as you can see here, the difference between 10A and 11A can be seen with that hole on the back side of the post. You can see it there. Essentially, we're going to move to the other side, right side, and duplicate this process on the opposite side. So as you install the pieces, you should already be familiar with them from the previous one, and they'll go into the other side essentially the same way. Look for these parts, some spindles, some bogie wheels, and a couple of the drive sprockets here. And once again, I'll refer to those by part number. So there are 7 of the 24As, and they're attached to the 25A parts. And then number 20A is slid on the post of 21A, and part 22A is attached to the post of that, locking 20A into place there. And these parts will be installed on the left side of the tank. Get the parts out for the opposite side, the right side, and they are constructed in the same manner but installed in the opposite orientation on the right side. In this view, the hull has been painted with a primer, but just prior to this, of course, you'll be completing the left and right sides, and then you'll add the 7, 24, and 25A assemblies to the left side, 10A and 11As, and then 12As and 13As to the right side. And part 26A is glued in place in the center of the 24 and 25A assembly to lock them into place there. 21A assembly then is slid into 14A part, and then part 23 is attached to the post of 21A on the interior of the hull, locking the assembly in place there. Then the entire assembly can be sprayed with, I used a Model Master gray primer. Locate these pieces from the kit, and then the left and right side consists of 4 of the 17A parts, 2 of the 31As, 2 of the 18As, 4 of the 19As, 1 29A, 28A, and 30A. and part 28A is then attached to part 29, and then all the parts are painted with the what I called Model Master engine gray. It's a German gray. Once the parts are dry, you can assemble them to the left and right side of the whole bottom there, and as you can see, the contrasting color, they're fairly easy to spot, and those are where those pieces are installed. Once the parts and assemblies have dried, I painted the overall hull with a whitewash, a 50-50 mix of primer and Tester's flat white to give it a winter camo background. Then I got the tracks out, and they'll be attached next. The tracks are joined together with the connecting piece and glued into place with some super glue. It's a pretty effective way to join tracks compared to the old method where we used to use a staple. So once those have dried thoroughly, you can stretch them onto the drive wheels and around the bogies there on the tank's hull. So this is what you'll have when you're finished at this point. Get out the upper hull and the engine fan cover here, and also this mesh screen, and we're going to cut the mesh screen just to fit underneath on the underside of the hull there, and then put that in place. And then we're also going to paint the engine plate fan a metal primer, something like a I'm going to call it a metallizer type color, gunmetal, to give it a pretty authentic look. Then the upper hull gets painted with that same mixture of primer gray and whitewash, 50-50, and then install the plate there, the engine plate with the fan, over the top of the mesh there to trap that into place. Now test fit the upper and lower hulls and find the gluing point locations. Scrape off any paint that's there, and then assemble the upper and lower halves together. Get the front armor plate out along with the attendant pieces you see here, and then that gets sprayed with the 50-50 white and primer mix, and set that aside to dry. Again, look for your gluing point, scrape off any paint there, and then attach this 37B assembly to the hull assembly there in place. Get the exhaust grates out from the kit there, and there are left and right pieces, so keep those separately. Go ahead and spray those and attach them to the hull in the back. It's at this point we can start getting creative. We're going to paint the parts here, 61B and 62B, with the engine German gray, and then detail that with a little black wash. And then some of the other pieces that you see here, they're also painted with the German gray. And the plate, the paint, the white wash covered up some of the markings that indicate exactly where these pieces are placed. And so I used a little bit of thinner and a scruff pad, and I removed some of the paint to reveal those locations. And then that also, however, starts to provide some of the weathering that can be effectively shown just by removing paint. Grab these parts from the kit, and they're very small, so you'll have to use care when you remove those from the sprue. Use some good sharp cutters. And then parts 68B, the two of them are painted flat black and attached to 37B, the plate there. And then both 72B parts are painted Tester steel and attached to the back plate. And all four of the 70B and both 71Bs are then attached to the back plate also. 67B is attached to 34B between 48 and 69, and then it's attached to a plate on 37B as well. The 59B assembly then is painted engine gray, a German gray, with a white wash again, and then the tail lights are painted with some flat red and Tester's orange. Get out the accessory pieces that basically will be added to the hull top on the right side, and you can attach those and then paint them later, or paint them prior, but they're obviously, axe handles are brown, and things are steel, and also olive drab in the Army. So you can use whatever camo detailing you want to complement that with for painting, and then attach the parts from the left side commensurately on the left side of the hull. Next, we'll get these pieces out of the kit and attach them to the front hull assembly. And as you can see in this picture here, the parts are all identified for placement. So go ahead and put them into place, just making sure that you have a gluing section cleared off so that there's no paint involved to get a good bond with your glue. We'll continue on with these parts for the front end. And now we'll also note that 95, 97, and 98 are actually 95A, 97A, and 98A. So the part numbers are mixed up there in the instructions. And they're painted engine gray and then whitewashed, and you'll find that that adds some color variation with the darker gray. And then 98B, which is actually 98A, it's glued into position, securing 79E into its location. Now part 96E is slid into position above 98A, and then part 97A is glued into place, locking 96E into place. So continue on here and finish up the front end assembly. You get a choice here in this kit of a couple of versions. So I elected to build version B, and as you can see, these pieces here will be used. The upper track hull section, protector there, will be attached along with the peripheral pieces here. And you can see from the photo here that I've also gone back over the raw pieces, covered up some of the darker ones, and then sprayed with the whitewash paint, so to give it an even look around the entire hull, so that we have that winter camo in effect. So get these parts out and assemble the barrel, and then the turret piece goes of course inside, and the barrel attached to that, and then that's the elevating piece, and then the turret assembly finally is completed altogether. Now gather up these pieces from the kit, and we'll show you where those are attached in clusters onto the turret. But also note that there's again some part misidentifications here in the instructions. So they get placed from front to rear on the left side, and then the right side. But there there's four parts. Number 162A, those are actually 171A, okay, and then 162A, those are actually 171A as well, and from front to rear on the right side they are added in the same order. Grab these plates and cylinders out of the kit, and they'll be used to put together a sub-assembly that's attached to the back end of the turret. And as you can see here, it's installed into place along with the antenna mounts and the antenna, and then they're all secured into position with this guarding grid and grate that are placed on the left and right sides of the box there in the back. Find the pieces for the hatch here along with these attentive antenna pieces, etc. And then the right hatch consists of part 146A fastened to 145A. Then 129 is attached to the right turret hatch hole, and this is followed by adding that assembly we put together to 129A. And next you have 147A glued to 129A, and there's a piece number 215C that's attached to 114C. Forward of the hatches at this time, and then the right antenna is attached to the antenna mount. That's part 167A. Here are the pieces for the left hatch, and it has a couple options. You can leave it open or closed. I elected the closed version for mine. So the left hatch consists of piece 149A being glued to 150A, and then 148A is attached to 149A. Now this is followed by securing 128A to the left turret hatch hole. And then the assembly we talked about earlier is installed into 128A, added to 150AR pieces 151 and 2A. And then the next step is where 147A is glued to 128A. And then the left antenna is attached to the left antenna mount, as you see here in the photo. We'll use these pieces to put together a sub-assembly that's attached to the front of the turret there. And if you take a good look at the assembly here and the finished photo, and you can see how that's assembled and attached. And that's followed by another sub-assembly that's actually attached to and around the barrel up front there. It looks like another armament piece, so go ahead and assemble that and attach that to the barrel as shown. And finally, we're going to grab these parts out of the kit. These are the grab handles on the side of the turret. Go ahead and install those into place. And once that is done, we're going to give the entire turret assembly and barrel another coat of the primer, and then followed by the mixture of flat white and medium gray primer for that winter camo look. Locate the pieces for the machine gun, 161A and 160A, and those are painted gunmetal acrylic, and then they're attached on the right side of the turret to the hatch assembly, and then 160A is glued to 161 there as an upright piece, and you can see the contrast there with the different coloration give you something interesting to look at. Finally, we're going to assemble the soldier here. It looks very much like the tank commander, and he consists of his pieces along with binoculars and a sidearm. Once that's assembled, he gets painted flat black for the boots, Model Master skin tone for the skin area, and a German uniform Feldgrau acrylic. And then the binoculars are painted with some flat black as well, and then glued into his hands there. And the pistol holder is painted a dark green, and it's added to the right side. So finally, locate the locking tab opening there for the turret, and then turn that quarter turn to lock that into place. And it will continue to rotate as there's no glue used there, but the barrel does not go up and down. It's not designed for that. It's pretty impressive, and ordinarily here the German cross would have been used. It's in the kit, but the shield emblem from the game was used for this one instead, as I was trying to replicate the box art version. And the overall look was enhanced by I used some Tamiya Weathering Master Set B powders to detail it. There's some exhaust port soot, and you can add some snow to the crest emblem, and a little bit of rust around the road wheels and fenders, and that completes the construction. As you can see, it's quite impressive, and our commander is standing there viewing the opposition and field. So I think that overall this was an excellent kit. There were some issues with part numbers, but that's the only thing that I found. They're very small, and you have to be very careful when you handle them. It was an excellent kit to build. The detail is exceptional for the price point. And if I were you, I'd buy one and put it on my shelf. Hope you like this step-by-step premium model kit review. And so that you don't miss any more, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. But you can find us on Facebook and at our website, rightonreplicas.com. Thanks!